Russian occupying forces spent 6 hours trying to breach the defenses of Ukraine's 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade in Donetsk Oblast, Militarnyi reports. The brigade's unmanned systems battalion shared footage on Telegram, showing the destruction of Russian equipment and infantry, but did not specify the exact location of the assault. Ukrainian defenders used FPV drones and artillery with cluster munitions to neutralize the assaulting enemy. The 110th Brigade reported that the Russians deployed an armored vehicle column for the assault, led by a barn tank, the ad-hoc modification for carrying infantry, better known as turtle tank. The vehicle was also equipped with a mine roller to traverse across the Ukrainian minefields. After aerial reconnaissance detected the Russian movement, drone operators began targeting the vehicles. First, they destroyed an MTLB, from which infantry managed to disembark after the initial FPV strike. Next, an immobilized BMP-1 was hit, with footage showing it catching fire. Following this, Ukrainian drones burned a Russian BTR-82A that was abandoned by occupiers near the road. Drone operators then began destroying the Russian turtle tank, which had also been immobilized and abandoned by the Russians. After several hits, it caught fire from within. Afterward, operations began to eliminate enemy infantry who had managed to scatter among the ruins of the settlement. In addition to drones, Ukrainian artillery targeted the Russian infantry with cluster munitions. Ukrainians struck trenches, buildings, and basements where the scattered Russian forces were hiding. Drone operators also hunted individual occupiers who remained alive after previous strikes. Simultaneously with the Unmanned Systems Battalion, the press service of the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade itself shared footage of repelling a Russian assault near Velika Novosilka in Donetsk Oblast. Also, it has multiple crossing points that Russians could use to transfer armored vehicles over the Solona River, which can be used by Russians to develop their western flanking operation further. To push the Russians out, Ukrainians put constant pressure on the Russian forces stationed in Pishchene, with intense drone strikes and precision fire. This is meant to weaken the Russian garrison to the point that Ukrainians can launch a mechanized ground assault to eliminate the remaining survivors and reclaim the settlement for their own. On top of that, if we look at the topographic map, we can see that the recently retaken trench network north of Pishan overlooks Russian positions in the lowlands. This allows the Ukrainians to observe Russian movements in and out of the village, while also enforcing fire control from an additional angle ahead of their assaults. The main disadvantage for Russian forces in this area is the overwhelming presence of Ukrainian drones, which continuously conduct reconnaissance and precision strikes on Russians moving in and into the town. Given Pishchane's small size, Ukrainian drone operators can quickly observe and target all Russian positions within the village, preventing them from establishing an effective all-round defense, with Ukrainians closing in all around them. As Russian soldiers could not move out in the open without risking being immediately targeted by Ukrainian drones, artillery, or sniper fire, they retreated into basements and houses, effectively blinding themselves against any Ukrainian ground assault. Geolocated footage reveals how Ukrainian drone operators detected several Russian soldiers who attempted to hide in a basement in Pishchane. However, the drone dropped a heavy landmine repurposed as a bomb, causing a large detonation that eliminated the Russian soldiers. Ukrainian soldiers reported that they had been softening up Russian defenses like this constantly over the past few days, allowing infantry assault groups to come in and systematically clean up the survivors. Footage shows how Ukrainian assault groups entered the settlement and provided covering fire to allow a soldier to move closer to a cellar Russians were hiding in, throwing in a thermobaric grenade to clear it instantly. Thermobaric grenades are much more effective in such enclosed environments as they do not rely on shrapnel to kill. The delayed explosion first sucks in the surrounding oxygen, which then rapidly expands during the explosion, creating a deadly blast wave that penetrates around corners and through walls. After wiping out several Russian squads hiding underground, the surviving Russian soldiers quickly left the basements to surrender, knowing they had no other way out. In the end, Ukrainians carefully exploited their tactical advantages around Peace Chain and eliminated Russian forces in the village, taking back control in a systematic clearing operation. In losing Peace Chain as their staging ground, Russian forces are no longer able to launch direct assaults toward Pokrovsk, which will likely lead to renewed costly assaults over the open fields. In the combined operations on the west flank of Pokrovsk, Ukrainians are systematically dismantling the threat of the Russian pincer maneuver, while Russians are slowly losing their progress after weeks of incredibly heavy losses.